All right, this is Prep Test 90, Game 1. Let's read the instructions. So an investigator is trying to determine the order in which 5 successive phone calls were made. One each to Quinn, Roth, Smith, Tang, and Vitt. So we have Q, R, S, T, and V. We also know from the instructions we're determining the order of 5 calls, so we'll put 5 little dashes there. And now we have some rules. Oh, we also have that each call is local or non-local. We can use little subscripts for those, L and N. Okay, the following facts have been established so far. Quinn's call was immediately before Vitt's, but it's sometime after Smith. So we know that it's going to be Q and V together, and then S is going to occur sometime before it. Smith's call was of a different type than Vitt, so I'm going to use that S is not equal to V, but alternatively what you could write is like SLVN or SNVL and put like a little or beside it if that helps you remember. But for this type of question, it's just one little rule. Third one, Quinn's call and Tang's call were both local. So we have QL and we have TL, which means in our old rule, we can put that Q is local. And finally, the third call was non-local. So I'm just going to put that in our template. And now we have everything set up. So for the first question, usually it's just a question about reading instructions. So we'll go through each of these 4 bullet points. And after that, if the question is written as it always is, then we'll have an answer. So Quinn's call was immediately before Vitt's. So let's see if there's any case where Q and V are separated. And we see that in A. We see Q and V, they're not immediately after each other, so A is not going to be an option. And I'm just going to assume it's one rule per choice. That's typically how it goes. But if we have problems later, we can come back to it. Smith's call was of a different type than Vitt's. So we're looking at S and V, and we're checking that they're different. So B, they're different. In C, oh, what do we have here? We have S being local and we have V being local. So C is not going to be our answer. Quinn's call and Tang's call were both local. So let's take a look to see if Q and T have a non-local in here. And in E, we see that Q is non-local, so E is not going to be our answer. And finally, the third call was non-local. And if we take a look at D, well, the third call is local, so D is not our answer. Our answer is going to be B. Now, we can go on to the more theory questions. So we'll start up a new template just to add in extra rules and information. So if Roth's call was second, which of the following must be true? We have R in the second position, and we know that our third call is non-local. So what can we do? Well, what I see is our big rule, S then QLV. So the only place that we can put Q in this is in this position right here. Because if it's in the third position, it's non-local. If it's in the first position, S can't come before it. And if it's in the last position, you can't get a V after it. So we know it's going to look something like this. Now, do we know where T is? Yes, we do, because T is local as well, based on our rule down here. So the only place it can go is in the first position, because if it goes in the third position, now it is non-local. That'd be a problem. So the only thing left that we have is S, and we know that S and V are different types, so V will be local, S is non-local, and R we don't know. Okay, so which of the following must be true? The first call was non-local. That's not true. The first call is definitely local. B, the second call was non-local. This doesn't have to be true. It could be true, but this question is asking which must be true. So it's not B. C, the fourth call was non-local. That's not true. That's where our Q, our local, is. And D, the first call was local. Yes, that is what we have. Just to verify the other words don't work. The second call was local. Well, we don't know. So B and E, they're kind of both saying, the opposite things, and we don't know which one is true. One of those is true, but we don't know which one. Okay, finally, going on to the next question, which is not finally. If Tang's call was fifth, which of the following could be true? So we have a TL in the fifth column, and we have an N in the third. So which could be true? Could be true. Okay, so what do we know about the position of Q here? Well, we know that Q has to be second. In fact, let's do this in orange because this is our logical deductions. So Q has to be there. V has to come afterwards. That's not an issue if V is not local, but we know Q has to be local. So if we want QV together, that's the only position it can go in. What that means is S is going to occur right before, and S has to be a different type than V, so S is going to be local, and then puts R into our fourth position. So this is what can happen. So which of the following could be true? The fourth call was non-local. Okay, that could be true. So we have our answer here. For the sake of the video, I'll keep going, just to make sure the rest don't work. So B, the second call was non-local. We know that's not true. It has to be local. The first call was non-local. That's not true. We know it has to be local because S and V have to be different. Smith's call was third. That's going to be impossible because we did V in the last position, but T has to be there. Finally, Roth's call was first. This is not going to be possible if we want to fit S, Q, and V in that order as they should be. So our third answer is A. 4, set up a new little game here. If Roth's call was local, which must be false. So we only have this information. We don't know where Roth is, but we know it's local. So what I'm thinking right ahead is that this doesn't have any other interaction with the other rules. So we're going to have to try some things out because this is asking which one must be false. So let's make some lines and see if they work. So let's say that we do Quinn's call was fourth. So we know that Q is going to be here. What do we have now? Well, we know that V has to come immediately after it. T has to be local and R has to be local, which would mean that T and R have to fit into one of these two positions, but we don't know which ones. We know they're both local, and that's going to fit S into our third position, and S will be non-local, which means that V will be local as well. So Quinn's call can be fourth. That works. What if Roth's call is second? Well, we don't need to do another one because we've already shown in the first case that Roth can be first or second. So if Roth's call is second, we already know our order. So it can't be B because B can be true. Okay, what if Smith's call was second? So let's put S here. We need to do Q and V. Okay, Q can't be non-local, so Q and V have to be in the same position as before. So actually, we don't know that V is local. We just know that Q is local. T has to be local, so that has to be in the first position, which means the only thing left can be R. Now, we have a problem here because R is being forced into a non-local position, but we know from our rule that R has to be local. So this line is not going to work if Smith's call is second, so this is going to be our solution. If we didn't know, or we weren't certain, we could try the other ones, but we've already found one that doesn't work. And finally, the fifth question, if the first call was non-local, so we have this information now, then for exactly how many of the recipient's calls can their positions in the order of calls be determined? In other words, in more plain English, if the first call was non-local, how many positions can we absolutely determine from this information? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, so we have our nice little rule, our SQLV from before that we're going to use again, because there are 2 places right now that we could put this. I'm going to show you one that doesn't work right away that I can see. So if we put QL here, that means that V is going to come after, and that means that V is non-local. But that is going to force S to be non-local as well, and this is a problem because we know that S and V have to be different. So this one isn't going to work. So where else could we put QV? Well, we'd have to put it here. So Q and V are there. What else do we know? T has to be local. So T has to be in the second position because it can't be in the first or second. Now, as far as R and S go, it doesn't really matter which one we put where because we can switch them. We know it's going to be non-local, so V will be local. It's going to fit in either position. So we've only guaranteed 1, 2, 3 different positions from this information, so our answer will be C. So for prep test game 1, we have BDACC, and that's the full workings of all the problems. If you have any questions, you can ask down below and me or hopefully someone else will get to you.